Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Traders Arena. This is Tuesday crypto show. Sorry, I got some volume in here. It's the second time that's happened to me in a row now. So oh, jeez. Hold on one second. I got some sort of audio issues. Damn, I don't know if you guys just heard what I heard, but I got some echo in my mic here. God damn it. I must be. Oh, it's on Twitter. Motherfucker. What a fucked up start. Well, at least I'm not on mute. I think hopefully you guys can all hear me. That was an awesome start. If you guys heard what I just heard, because I think I had the YouTube playing on Twitter or some shit. So anyway, fuck, what a hilarious start to this Bitcoin rip. David. Hey, David. I'm assuming you can hear me. And man, what a chaotic intro. Jeez. Well, guess I'm batting it. The last couple shows, I've had a couple technical difficulties, but hey, that wasn't that bad. Here we are again. We are streaming away 2 minutes in on YouTube. So hey, everybody. Andre, good to see you. Paul's in there trying to be first. Wow, and Bitcoin is ripping too. So here we are. It looks like I can't help but think that this 61.8 now in this old key high of 48 grand, 48,500 seems like a magnet now, huh? Blasted through the 50% level yesterday. We were talking, we were sitting right at the 50% level yesterday here, thinking that's a pretty big level in general, and not the worst place to see at least some sort of reaction. Like, doesn't necessarily have to be a top or anything, of course, but there was a little bit of reaction yesterday, but not really, man. This thing has steam behind it still. It's totally pointing out. And sort of the whole dump chaser zone idea, I guess it depends on how you look at these things to decide when you think this is being resolved bullishly, but it certainly looks like we're getting above it here. And we're kind of getting into like parabolic, sort of parabolic state at this point a little bit here with just a couple months, 2 or 3 months of straight up here now. And of course, these last 2 weeks are pretty uppy, and it's funny, you can like hear they turned on the FOMO pretty hard in the media. It seems like out of nowhere. I don't know, maybe just the general vibe of when Bitcoin starts ripping. I mean, it's been ripping. I guess it hasn't been ripping as hard as it's getting kind of exciting here above 40 grand and stuff, but it just seemed like in the last couple of days, all of a sudden you start seeing way more Bloomberg stories and other stories, and just everybody's basically they're starting the process of sucking the public in. I would imagine you can kind of feel it happening. Of course, like, being a buyer up here is just, I mean, we don't know where the top is, and I have no idea how high this can go, but all I could say is, being a buyer anywhere up in here is risky. Sure, maybe you're anybody that stepped in and bought like a little lower here is up in the green here right now, but things can change pretty quickly, and it's just not what we would consider a good location to be a buyer. Of course, somewhere down in here was a reasonable location to be a buyer. We like to use the classic Brian Beamish reload zone as a good, at least you don't have to follow the fibs exactly, but just, I think everybody that does this should at least have the idea of what it means to draw a ranging market, draw fibs on a ranging market, and determine where would be good location. And the old Brian Beamish green box is a good place to start. Now, sure, crypto likes to go lower at times for sure, especially altcoins. But I think from 61.8 to 78.6, Yeah, it at least serves up a nice window of opportunity where you know you're not chasing too hard, and you know, if the market's a range, then you know when you're buying these kind of levels here, you can bang out pretty nice trades just before we get back to like red boxes, which is the exact opposite for the, you know, the current range that's now established here on Bitcoin. I mean, you can see Bitcoin came down into 78.6 and bottomed right off of it. It's not a huge surprise. We even have a little W down here that's basically at 78.6. And now looking at the red box above us, there's 61.8. It's not too far away. And then this high right here, you know, I was saying yesterday, I see that high as the beginnings of the bear market, the true bear market confirmation. And I just, the logic I was using for that is just a simple 200 period moving average on a daily chart. I like to look at that. Can kind of see how they, you know, they faked everybody out with these W's coming in here after this was like the pre-bear market slide, or whatever you want to call it. And we lost the 200, and then coming up into 200 resistance, that you know, that rejection there was like confirmation that this old bull was over. And sure enough, we went into full bear market, and now that represents a pretty key level, I'd say. Like, so, and it's funny how it lines right up on the 61.8 fib. So 48,500 on Coinbase, more or less. It's actually 48,240 specifically on Coinbase here. And I don't know. I just use Coinbase because what the hell? Because they like to jack you on fees. I don't know. Their fees are quite a bit higher than everyone else. Let's see here. So my point being is 48,200 here is key level. It is 61.8. So I don't know. Do we just shoot up there? If we do hit that level, I could show you an example from the past of what happened. I mean, if you were to consider this like the dead cat bounce, like for sure it's getting into a pretty hefty dead cat bounce at this point, right? Like Bitcoin is ripping. But it was the, you know, coming out the gates after the bear was over. This has just been straight up here. But I remember a time that was similar, and that's back here. And I'll show you what happened to 61.8 back here. I think you could argue that there's kind of a similar chart pattern here, right? There's W down here. This was a much more defined W, very cleaner and wider and nicer altogether. But, you know, clearly there was some sort of bear market here, and we ended up putting a W in. But if I just drew my fibs off of this level and said, hey, fucking A, look what happened when we ran up into 61.8. I'm not saying this has to happen again. I'm just showing examples of things that could happen. So yeah, I don't know. Are we in for something like that? Some sort of big old, look how they put that giant wick to the upside. You know, they ran this big green candle up into 61.8. I remember specifically I was sitting at lunch with my niece and my mom when that happened. And look how they took it all back that week anyways. And then eventually put in some M's here. And then of course this, in this, you know, hindsight it's 2020, but this was a dead cat bounce, right? It was like not a new bull. We had to get rejected and come back into the bottom of the range before they started the real bull. And we went into uptrend that took out the highs, but it's kind of fun to look at. There's a mountain man there, 61.8. And of course now we're mountain man 61.8. It's kind of same, like what if the end of this week looks like a big green candle heading into Sunday? And Bloomberg's telling everybody to load up. And I mean, I just keep seeing headlines like Bitcoin's back kind of thing. Or like I saw one that was like Bitcoin's market cap exceeded Meta's. And what other one? It was like a headline that just said, you know, whatever, as Bitcoin surpasses 40 grand, it took out Meta's market cap and another market cap. I can't remember which one now, because that's how much attention I pay to the news, which is not jack shit. Me personally, I mean, I'm kidding, but I try to not get too wrapped up in the news stuff, because the story is going to, you know, whatever story they're feeding everybody's not necessarily the story that's going to make you money. In fact, probably it's going to not make you money. And like buying up here, I mean, is there a potential? I mean, yeah, I get it. We've kind of talked about 38.2s. Maybe we thought maybe there could be some sort of consolidation in here, and then we could roll over. Haven't gotten that yet. That's for sure. And nothing really in the indicators ever suggests we're rolling over just yet anyway. And now that we've taken that out, it just kind of seems like, I don't know, they could rip this up and tag that, no problem. Into all the FOMO here. And I guess the ETF is the narrative here, right? Like I saw some people saying the BlackRock ETF is about a month away. Again, I don't pay that much attention to that either. So yeah, that's like a month away. So I don't know. That could potentially be sort of like a sell the news event, I suppose, if they run this thing straight up into the end of the year into that. But we'll see. It's getting a little frothy though. I mean, just looking at charts, weekly chart, of course, 61.8 is kind of a magnet. Short reload zones is the first real selling opportunity. I mean, I can't fault anybody that bought down here to start taking profits up here. And I'm sure the big players that put the bottom in here are probably thinking that along those lines. I mean, we don't have any guarantees that, and I've said this in the past. I don't, if Bitcoin ramps right up into short reload zones here, I think it becomes less likely that it takes out the highs and just keeps going straight up into the. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. Fuck, Bitcoin loves to just rip everybody's hearts apart. Anybody that missed it, usually. I mean, sure, it'll rip your heart apart on the downside too if you bought the top, but in general, the more we rip straight up into short reload zones, I start thinking top of the range here, so that probably have to maybe come back down a little bit and play around. But who knows what's going to happen? But point being, any range trader would be looking at this red box as the next short opportunity or potential sell location. I think 50% level is a pretty reasonable price target. So yeah, maybe some selling started there, but it doesn't look like it's showing up in the weekly chart here yet. And I mean, if we are just kind of using only the charts and not thinking about news or any sensationalism or FOMO or anything and just saying, well, what's the chart telling me? Well, I'd say, well, obviously can't be a buyer here. We're sort of pushing outside of the dump chaser zone. So maybe that's off the table for right now. And unless something happens pretty quick, the chances of ripping up into Mountain Man are pretty good. And that's the next short opportunity. And then of course, if I look at the indicators for any sort of any sort of indication that there might be a top coming in on the weekly chart, I don't see anything. If anything, OBV's ripping higher and making a W now this week, or I guess it came in last week. Well, even 2 weeks ago, technically we broke this big wide W out. That is what I'll be watching the most on a weekly chart, is just like, when does OBV break? That's like pushing higher again. So. And then RSI is pretty overbought for sure. And the moving average is pointing swiftly higher here, but not overbought here. But then you can kind of look at the old highs. You could see how the M came in and overbought. It took a long time. They put the M in. On divergence, that M was a confirmed divergence here. And then the RSI broke the moving average and started trending down here with M's all through there as they put the first dump in. And then kind of like this bounce would be like the traders trade, shorting reload zones here. And of course they took out the highs, but like either way, this would be the sort of second short opportunity after the broken RSI and OBV, if you will. It's all in divergence and M'd out there too. So like the breakdown was there and then they dumped. And of course, I guess like FTX probably pumped this thing. This was like the I kind of feel, I don't know, this is just opinion, but I feel like all the FTX that like they were fucking with the market a lot here and really drove it up higher. That's all just anecdotal opinion based on nothing. But anyway, just like kind of thinking about what tops look like. I mean, we never know exactly how they're going to look, but you can kind of see how RSI broke there, and we're not anywhere near there now. And the point I was going to make is RSI actually went into overbought way back here, and that was like almost before the real bull started. So it was embedded for like most of that straight up bull after we took out that Mountain Man high that I was just talking about. So you can't really rely on RSI here. It's just embedded now, which can be very bullish in an uptrend. So anyway, long story short, weekly charts got no top. And really, like, I'm not going to spend tons of time on this, but, daily chart straight up did get divergences coming in on our side back here. And now we have potential divergences if this high can't take the old highs out, but not really broken. And look at OBV just ripping up. Although there is a little tell in here on Coinbase. Look at the volume. You can kind of see how there's not a lot of bull volume here supporting this move. I mean, I suppose it is kind of ramping up through here. We're not quite to these levels yet. Maybe let's look at it really quick on, I don't know what the biggest exchange is. Bitcoin USDT maybe. Well, I don't know. Volume's, they're kind of stepping up here on volume a little bit, I guess. So we'll see. I think really at this point, the only thing I mean, there's not a lot in terms of like doing this show today. There's not really tons to talk about in terms of buying altcoins. I do have a list of things, to be fair, that are buyable ish, you know. So like I'll get into those, try to jump into those rather quick actually. Uh, yeah, because I do have quite a list, I suppose, but nothing's like right. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like a lot of stuff's taken off already. Some things are hovering around the W breakouts, but not really immediately buyable. And maybe I have a couple that are sitting right at the W breakouts. So I suppose it's just like, are you willing to take your shot here a little later into the rally? Uh, it's kind of up to you. But that's enough of Bitcoin. I mean, the whole only point here is it's just ripping. There's nothing to do here. You can't be a buyer up here. I would be careful to be a shorter. Like, sure, if you're, I suppose, like if you're trading lower time frames and you're trying to take your shots in here, you're gonna get blasted out a bit. So because the wind's not in, the wind's at the bull's back right now. And so, shorting these markets is going to be tricky. If you're inexperienced, you're probably going to get destroyed here. In fact, many people are going to get destroyed shorting this market right here, I'd imagine, just because they're just going to be taking out the shorts left and right here. They have been for a little while. So be careful with that. Cool. Cosmin's got some names. Yeah, throw your name. I mean, like I don't have, I have a list that I can kind of fall back on, but I'd rather look at stuff you guys are interested in. Maybe I can find something new to buy, which I actually do have one of David's names I was going to talk about here that does look pretty viable from, I don't remember when maybe it was yesterday or the day before on Sunday that he told me about it. I can't remember. But anyhow, I think that's enough of Bitcoin. I just want to mention a couple other broader market things, though. Like, I mean, we could look at Ethereum really quick and just say that 38.2 is sort of like Bitcoin 61.8 at this point. $2,400 seems like Ethereum could easily hit that. It's now has gotten outside of the range here. RSI is not even overbought yet, and then OBV is pointing higher. So it looks like Ethereum could keep also moving higher here for the moment, but very straight up also. And total is one of my favorite charts lately. I just really quickly point out that the ABCD did get hit. I was talking about this back in here and saying, well, somewhere up into this zone from 1.5 to 1.6 trillion at 38.2 seemed like a place where the total market cap could go. And we're just getting up in there. So it seems like we'll see where this thing also runs out of steam as they, we'll just see what happens here. But man, that's a pretty bullish looking chart in general. And then I'll just mention dominance and stuff for fun too. Still in 38.2s here, but definitely making a new high this week. So Bitcoin's still kind of winning the battle or taking all the attention for the most part, even though there are a shit ton of altcoins blasting off. Still seems like Bitcoin's kind of got the center of the attention here. And sure enough, the more Bitcoin can get up here, and then if it can slow down somewhere up higher, then that's probably going to trigger the alt rally that we all want to see. So. And then I'll just lastly say Ethereum Bitcoin's been a pretty big conversation around the group today, but I don't see a bottom here at all. This is a weekly chart, of course, but man, I hope you guys, I see a range and now we're coming down into the lows. Probably going to have to take out the recent lows here just at least to wash that liquidity. And they'll probably at least FU the lows of the range here, but I see the green box down here and also this key support back here a little higher at like 0.46, and it just kind of looks like this needs to keep coming down. And this trend line says it all to me. We're so early for a bottom here, so I don't know if it's the best time to go changing ETH or Bitcoin for ETH, but I don't know. That looks heavy as shit to me. Now, to be fair, we're getting down to the bottom of the range, so maybe there's some sort of action in here that can put in a bottom, but I don't think it's yet. And looking at RSI, it's just kind of drifting downward still. It could potentially start making W's and divergences and stuff once we do start taking out the lows here. And then OBV is just all M's here and even a cheeky little M most recently, and just, I don't know, just pointing down. So, but when I like to look at my little crypto bubbles, that's pretty green. There's some uppy stuff today. I don't know what this big time is. It popped up a couple times today. I saw around, and there's a few things that are up pretty good. And I don't know when they consider the change in the day, actually, because I know that I banged a double off something that's up like 70% on the day. So my time frame and their time frame is a little different, but nonetheless, it looks like pretty green in altcoins too. So let's look at some altcoins. And I see some names in the chat, which I'll look at. David's said he's wondered what I would talk about when all charts are vertical. Yeah, I guess what would we talk about in this situation? I mean, of course, you can't be a buyer and chase markets. That's really dangerous. You're gonna get run over. But if you're long, then the best thing to do is don't fuck it up. Hopefully, you have a plan. This is why we like to have predefined setups with predefined targets and predefined stops. And hopefully you don't have to do too much thinking about Bitcoin right now, because if you start trying to outsmart the market, you're probably going to get kicked in the nuts. So it's good to have a plan ahead of time. And then so when times like this come, it's just like sort of like, well, if you have lower time frame trading plans, then just work those and try not to chase these investment ideas, because you'll get run over. And if there's still some W's to be bought, then let's buy them. And so, like, actually, speaking of David, the one I like this. I think you told me about this FIS. Like this is a damn nice looking chart here that's not taken off yet. So I mean, it's lagging for sure, but like, this is everything that I want to buy. So I actually just went and grabbed some at that level because it's just sitting at the W and at 78.6, which I love. And of course, OBV's in divergence here. This is a pretty chart. So here's one. You can't say I didn't have anything to buy. I mean, at this point, this is exactly the chart I love to see. The question is just, does the whole market roll over and then this thing gets sort of knocked to new lows because the rest of the market comes off hard? But this is the kind of thing that I'm banging doubles out on now that I bought, previously. Like, like AGLD, I actually kind of fucked this trade up and got lucky here, but this W back here looks exactly like that FIS, right? And this I'm already on my second car on, but I bought that W, banged a double out, bought the pullback and reload zones, missed my double in that big wick because I didn't have my order working, and then they freed me and I did get so I have 2 cars with doubles now on this thing. But point being is that this looks exactly like, well, not exactly, but same exact thing. Double W, weekly W, at or below reload zones of the previous range, and nice OBV divergence. And it's just sitting right on the level. So I can't tell people what to do or what not to do. But if you're a person that likes to buy these kind of charts, which is everything I try to do, and a lot of people I know try to do, then that one's just sitting there. Now, you could argue I'm front running I didn't get like a nice close above that level yet. So I might but I said fuck it and just, sure, 3 weeks ago you could have gotten a better deal. But looks pretty damn good to me. So there's one that definitely looks good. I actually banged out another double on this Vara, and I think Kuchar, another one of our community members, also did too. And I saw him talking about it, and I had just been looking at it, and then and I was fucking around with it on Coinbase, and then I saw him post something about it. I think some like influencer that he likes, or some Twitter guy was talking about it, and I just went and grabbed it because it just, this is a new issue and it's only on Coinbase Vara. And man, they're ripping this thing, but this is more of a daily chart kind of thing. There wasn't a lot to work with here on the weekly chart, but you can see the W. I basically just came in, and this was on Sunday night, I guess, for me. Yeah. You see the little daily W, sorry, and I chased it a little bit, but you gotta, I don't know, you gotta step in and act. I don't think that's truly chasing too bad. It's just a little bit above the W level by like 10%. And you can see what happened, blasted off right away. So I banged that double out too. Oh, cool. CTSI is on my list, so we'll look at that one next, actually, and then I'll get to the request. I'll just do the requests here. Well, I'll mix in some requests, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple other things. But yeah, like I already had that Cartesi or however you say it on my list, so we'll look at that one. See if there's anything we can. I'm gonna go back to a weekly chart though. I like to stick to the weekly charts on this kind of stuff. I mean, we certainly zooming in on the daily is not a problem, and especially for stuff that doesn't have as much history. But I think if you're trying to time like the altcoin bottoms like this, I think weekly charts can really keep you out of trouble. And people underestimate how nice it is to just I mean, how much information you gather from them and how slowed down it is. It's like, um, especially if you do know how to drill down to lower time frames and trade, then it's always a good idea to scan the weekly charts and just kind of get a bigger picture of what might be heading into like a medium term uptrend. But certainly for this sort of like sell half on doubles kind of like for your Bitcoin halving cycle trading, I think the weekly charts are the way to go. Anyway, this is a Cartesian, and I don't think it's viable. Well, let's just back up and do the old regular analysis. I mean, first of all, it's come back down against the old lows pretty well. Like, to be fair, the old I see this as the last bottom here, the cycle bottom, and that's pretty far down. It's another 50% or more down. So you have to accept that, if the market rolls over and the whole market needs to roll over a bit, I could easily see these kind of levels getting hit on. In fact, stuff like this, I almost assume they'll get hit. Like, it's just once we also start putting in this nice sideways channel bottom here, you got to be like, well, I don't know, it's looking pretty bottomy. So you got to step in and take your shot if that's your thing. But so I don't know if these lows will hold, and there's plenty of downside risk, to be fair. But in general, if you were to draw fibs off of the old cycle, I mean, clearly we're like well below 88.6, I'd imagine. If we just went like that, yeah, you could see how 88.6 is up here at 21 cents. So it's 16 cents right now. So I mean, everything from the past checks out for location. And then in the present here, or not present, but more recent times, we did establish a nice range here. Like, this is kind of like the dead cat bounce that Bitcoin is in, sort of, if you will. Came down after a bear, put in a bottom, ripped up, and then ran out of steam, had to come back to the bottom of the range. Pretty common. And now we're sitting not too bit above 78.6. So I can't even really say you're chasing too much. I mean, 78.6 is 15.18, and we're sitting at 16.44 here. So I mean, yeah, you're not like the snipiest level hunter ever buying it right here, but you're still in a reload zone, and there is W's working here, and also W's and OBV here too. So can't really say there's divergence per se. They really didn't have. Well, there's a little tiny divergence actually in that move there. So OBV did turn in divergence there and put in W's and stuff, and it's pointing higher. And then RSI is pointing higher, getting through the 50 line here. So I don't know. There's no reason why this couldn't take off. I kind of liked at least buying that 1425 level, and then doubles are just up into like this wick here. Not too bad. I mean, sure, if you chase it right here, a 1633, then your double's still just inside this wick. So I like that. You can bang a double out underneath this old high. That seems super doable. And everything checks out. So it's just whether or not you want to take a chance in getting lower fills, whether you're going to like nibble here and maybe nibble some more down there, or maybe you just ape in and maybe zoom in on. I could see like our THG, as you start drilling down in the time frames, you might find that there could be a trend here starting now that we had the Wyckoff check. We had the W come in and they checked it a couple times, bouncing it. There's no reason why we can't get up into these kind of areas. So shorter term, trades, there's room to make money. So anyway, that's a nice one. Thank you, iToy. That one's on my list already, so I skipped to it. Then I'm going to back up in the chat a little bit and look at a couple of the other ones here. We got Alice, FLM, and TNX from Cosmin. I swear we were just looking at Alice yesterday, too. Oh, yeah. We were, and this one's, I mean, so there's a lot of coins in the market. When I was just like ripping through them really quick here before the show, I was just scanning a bunch of them quickly. And I would categorize some of them in this kind of like V bottomy kind of still uppy here kind of thing. So it's not the W that I like to look for. So it didn't actually make a bottom yet here. You can almost even see this. They didn't either here. You know, they took that low is lower. That's 1.013 and this low is 1.034. So they like didn't put in a real W here, and then you can see what happened. It didn't have much legs. And they've kind of done the same thing here with no real W. So I don't love that. But I did notice OBV's in divergence now, so that's a good start. And then I drew this trend line because I think it's a good example of, you know, we V bottom through the trend line, so that's not really a buy signal. And it also is very likely we come and check that trend line even potentially. So there might be newer lows in store for this. And then W's down here somewhere, which would be my preferable thing to buy. So I'm not interested in buying this right here for sure. It's kind of chasey. That's actually almost double. Well, not quite, but it's up quite a bit, 70% or so off. Or actually, that did almost, well, getting close. Fuck. Don't make me do math. It's close enough. Not my style though here, but I do like it in theory if we can just wait and like now that there's OBV div in and we're getting kind of down against the old opening lows here. Just wait for W in my opinion. Because I mean, of course, this is the kind of thing that if the whole market gets, you know, if and when the whole market rolls over, this might get hit a little harder because it doesn't have a bottom it doesn't have like a W acting as support now. So that's cool though. FLM is another one. That looks interesting. So I see a potential W. That's a good start. I see, you know, we took out the old lows here going back to 2020, the last cycle. We're in new low territory, but you can see the bottom coming in. Nice rounded out bottom going into a sideways channel. Seems like we're kind of at the middle of the saucer bottom, if you will. And OBV was in divergence through that period. This, you know, we were making new lows here all the way through here. And the OBV actually confirmed a divergence on that candle there when we broke out that big W. There's a W like that. And so it confirmed right on that candle. So that, you know, checks out. Location, you can't really draw fibs so easily because, you know, there's no range established here yet. Maybe the range lows is this bottom now, and you could draw fibs up to this high, I suppose, and start hunting reload zones. That's kind of probably the most sensible thing to do. And it looks like we're in a reload zone. But point being, location's pretty good just down in the dumps making this saucer bottom here. We just don't have like fib zone verification. But you could use that there. I think a range is probably now established here off of that move. And you can see how they came down and checked the lows, but I don't think took it out. It's damn close. Let's see. That low is 445. That one's 454. So actually the low's over here. So take that back. Probably use these fibs. It's kind of weird though, to be fair. I mean, you know, it's splitting hairs. This is pretty decent location in general. If we are going to use those fibs though, it looks like we're above our reload zone just by a hair. So probably want to hunt a little bit better of a deal, I'd say. But somewhere in there is like sort of the kind of decent buy window, and it looks like a W is trying to come in, but it's not my favorite looking W here. So this thing does have, it's not like when you zoom in a little bit like this, it's not as like tight range as I'd like. I mean, it's kind of like this weird diamond pattern. Not that that's really something that I try to trade, and diamonds are usually top patterns, I believe. But I mean, it's just kind of a weird pattern in the sense that we're making this sort of diamond shape here. If this W breaks out and takes out this 10.5 cent high, then that's a W. And I think that's chasing a little bit there. So I would let that break out and then start hunting sort of lower levels here, 9 cents and below. So I don't know. It's pretty good. It's like apeable for sure. I could see people, I mean, it's not that far out of it's not like you're chasing some huge uppy market. Let's just maybe go a little slower if you don't have experience and try to hunt those cleaner bottoms that I like to show you guys. But it looks pretty good. I like it in general. In fact, I didn't see if I could trade this one. I don't have it now. It doesn't look like it's on Coinbase or Kraken, but I'll keep an eye on that. Maybe look at it a little closer. I'm actually going to just write that down here so I don't forget it. And what's the last one there? TNX. 10X is that? Or wait, what is that? No, this is that's funny. Are you sure TNX? I don't know if I'm reading that right. TRX. No, look at Tron too much. So I don't know if this is let's see, TRX. Well, maybe throw in the chat if I've got that correct or not. There's also people are throwing the other names in here too. So let me just catch up on the chat really quick. It was Matic. David, you have a new name. I don't know how to say that. You're saying you love those weekly charts. RWN is a request. CSPR. Well, that gives me some to work with here. Actually, there's a lot of them in there. Damn. Okay, well, we'll just hammer them out here. I'm gonna try to stay. I've been talking for 35 minutes. I'm gonna try to stay closer to an hour. I don't mind talking forever, but at the same time, I don't see it's a long ass show once I start getting into those longer 1 hour and a half to 2 hours. So I'll try to give it a good 30 more minutes and try to just blast through these as quick as I can. There's not, like I said, there's not really. I mean, I don't have anything like brilliant to say today. We're just sort of in this kind of relatively uppy market. We should try to take advantage of it if we can. And if we're too late to these things, then you got to just exercise patience, man. Exercise patience. And if you don't know what you're doing, well, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have a plan, then you got to get your shit together fast because you're going to run out of time and miss this shit. I think there will be more buy opportunities before the real bull, but man, it does seem like we're running out of time. Not saying that means you got to go ape in and FOMO in. I'm just saying, like, if you don't have a plan for the next buy the dip moment, then you're just going to miss that too. So, I mean, if you do want help with that, we are actually getting our Capule 1 going again in January. And actually today was the first day of our trade review for, well, I'll talk about Capule 1 here for a minute. Actually, we do have this sort of intro to trading program, Capule 1. It's a 4-month program, and the fourth month is actually just trade and setups, and then Paul and I are actually going through your trade logs, and basically one by one, we're just going to be looking at every trade these guys are taking, and basically just helping people get into the habit of trading setups. And today was the first day of trade review, and it was awesome to see everybody had their logs. They had some trades in their logs, and we got to go through the trades and see how people did. And of course, mistakes are always made, and that's kind of the point. We're just trying to highlight places where mistakes are made, highlight places where people's plans might not be fully, complete, or there's details that maybe need to be added and rules that need to be followed. And that's just the first day. So we're going to be doing that twice a week anyway for the next month, and we'll see how that goes. But it was cool to see people. It seems like they've gotten the program. The first 3 months itself is just all about teaching, first how to write a plan. Then of course, how to straight up, how to write a plan is a huge part of it. Risk management strategy is a huge part of it. Figuring out what setups are and how we use setups is a huge part of it. And then of course, technical analysis becomes a huge part of it, and we really are only teaching the technical analysis that we find that we use the most and that's most important to get started. There's always an endless rabbit hole of technical analysis that you can go and learn, but we actually are trying to teach more of an approach where we don't fall into the sort of, like Paul likes to say, permanent student category. It's really dangerous. Like if you go too far down the rabbit hole, and I can be guilty as hell at this, if you become a permanent student of technical analysis, you'll just actually miss what it means to be a trader that's just in the markets executing. So there's like a fine line there where it's good to learn new tools, but it's more important that you just start executing using the tools that it's the simplest tools as possible. Like, just like I talk about here with like my setup here with just identifying trade location and then looking for OBV divergence and then buying a weekly W, that's about as simple. I could teach anybody that in a day. They just need to go and practice after that. It's not complicated. What's hard about it is, can you execute that over a series of trades? And can you keep your head together enough so that you could go take 100 of the same trades and actually follow your rules and let the market play out? And so anyway, Capio 1, we spent 3 months working on sort of the curriculum part of it, and then then a month of us actually just really going into everybody's trade logs and commenting, and then the program itself is actually a year long. So then there's 8 more months of just being a premium member, and you're just going to be expected to show up and trade with us. And of course, our doors are always open for answering questions and all that stuff. But for that whole 8 more months, we just want to see everybody in there practicing their execution. And so if that's something that interests you, the Capio 1 itself is kind of like through swing trading, we'd call it. It's intro to trading, and then get you to the place where you can swing trade setups, and then we have a Capio 2 program for once you want to gravitate more into like day trading and scalping and stuff with Stefan. And so anyway, we're going to start up in January again. It's $1,000. I think I had the little write up on it, but I explained what it is. 4-month intensive training program, 3 months of theory and 1 month of hands-on practice, then plus 8 more months of just trading with us as a premium member in our group. And then of course, 1 year access to Discord, of course, and then permanent access to our THG indicator, which of course, this is a huge part of this whole thing, because the THG indicator is actually more of a trading algo that really is very beneficial to sort of this idea of learning how to trade setups, because it basically tells you exactly what to do. So, and it's also wildly profitable. Hell, I think Paul banged out 2 like 10 plus to 1s on Bitcoin and Ethereum today using that shit. It's a very, very handy tool for trading uptrends or downtrends for that matter. And that comes lifetime access to that. So yeah, it's $990. You can reach directly out to me if that's something that you want to do. We are going to start up in January, unless we, we're not going to set a exact start date yet. Here we're shooting for January. But if we do start a little later, just because there's not enough members or whatever, then you'll just get free membership in the premium group until we start, and then you'll still get the year after that. So, and I guess this price is just good till the end of the year. We'll see where we're at. We're not making any promises for the future. We're just kind of, again, trying to build out our community with solid traders. We want to have more gladiators in our group trading every day, and all of us working together. So we're gonna just teach everybody how to do it the way we do it. And check us out if you want. And I'll add, it's not on here, but if you want to book a one-on-one with me just to talk about whether this is even right for you, or maybe I can just help you in a one-on-one. I do some one-on-ones here and there. And just basically, we're just, I'll charge you $100 for the one-on-one, and then I'll apply that to this if you do decide to do the program. So, keep that in mind if that's something that works for you. And that would be a good chance to actually talk and see what, where you're at in your journey and how like we could help you. And maybe it turns out you don't even really, aren't ready for Capio 1, or maybe you don't have the time or something like that. And I can just help you, get started on like your weekly investment plan, for example, because that's sort of like the basis of all these trading activities. I think it's important that everybody kind of learns how to trade the weekly altcoin cycle, just because you can make a lot of money and it takes a long time. So like, if you don't start right now, for example, you're going to miss this next big run up. So it'd be nice to get everybody all fully knowledgeable here soon. I mean, we talked about all year, this accumulation year. And so hopefully you start joining in with us earlier in the year, so you're maybe a little more ready. But like I said, I think we're getting kind of closer to the end here. So on one hand, the timing's really good. You just are running out of time. So anyway, that was my spiel on the old school. And I already talked about this FLM. I'll move on. I think I was going to look at, well, we got a bunch in here. Geez, Matic. I don't think, we'll look at Matic really quick here. Yeah, I don't think Maddox really in my wheelhouse for a trade right here at the moment. I mean, it never wanted to quite come all the way back down to earth. I mean, it did get down to 78.6 and below. It actually even tagged 88.6 here. Pretty good example of altcoin 88.6 bounce. I mean, anybody that stepped in at 88.6 back here did all right. Um, and it did, it is in a reload zone now even. It's just that there's also, Matic had such a extreme move here and the lows are so far down here. There's quite a lot of downside risk if it ever does start breaking these lows. But I suppose like if we just kind of think that this is the low here and this is where the bottom's going to come in this zone, then I would say that, a weekly W came in down here right off 88.6. You can see how 58.39, or sorry, 78.6, excuse me. I just drawn my fib simply off the lows in the current range here. You can see how they tested 78.6 here already once and then brought it down a little lower. But you can see that little W came in and the breakout level is 60 cents. And 78.6 is 58 cents. So that's not uncommon. Like I've said a lot before, I always try to get averaged in around 78.6 of the range. And oftentimes there'll be a W there. So if you see me doing something like I buy 61.8, 78.6, and 88.6, it's so I can get, and it just allows me to nibble my way in. But ultimately, I'll be averaged in around, 78.6 is my goal. That's how I structure those bids, at least. And so, and this is why, because you can see how the W came right in off that. But it's already almost doubled. Didn't quite get up to double levels, and now it's just sort of sitting here. Could become an M. Can't chase it here. So, and I don't want to spend too much time because I want to speed it up. But you can see OBV M'ing out here. So not my favorite. I prefer that like FIS, for example, if I was going to go try to buy something here later into this rally right now. And maybe if we're lucky, we get chances to buy Matic down here later, but it's just not right now. RWN. Is that what it is? RWN. That sounds not super familiar to me. Look at that. It's only on BitGet and Bybit and stuff. So we'll look at it on Bybit. It looks a little close. This looks like a Head and Shoulders trying to come in. Well, similar to, well, this is another one that actually made new lows. So we don't have a great place to draw our fibs off of the old cycle. Well, it's not that old. So there was no old cycle. According to this chart, I don't know what it looks like elsewhere. But point being, you can't really draw fibs here on this current range. But I do see, I mean, it's making a nice bottom here. And OBV started going into divergence through that whole period. It's basically been in divergence, and it's actually confirming that divergence. Last week it looks like, and so that's all good. The question is there really a W in here to buy? And I mean, there is kind of right here. So if you can see how they checked that level a couple of times. So if you're already long from that level, that seems like the last buy opportunity. You see how they checked it a couple of times. That's the W breakout level. Although this is kind of an ugly W, it might even be that these lows are lower. 13.4, 13. That's the exact same, looks like. So they just basically based it off this 13.0134 or so. So that's a W. And kind of validated by those tags. That doesn't do you a lot of good here now, because I think now you're just chasing too much up here. But what I really see happening is this looks like a classic Head and Shoulders bottom, which is something like this. And they're making the neckline right now. So I would be watching, like if they can't take the neckline out right now, then I'd be hunting right here against that level, somewhere in there for a W. And then this looks like a Head and Shoulders, and essentially what Bitcoin did in the bigger picture. Not a like very common like cycle bottom, I'd say it would be this kind of Head and Shoulders thing. Now, to be fair, like the head isn't that much lower than shoulder. And we don't actually have divergence actually right there. I'd like to see some sort of divergence in that low, but so I don't know. Maybe that's not what happens. It just kind of looks like that to me. But point being, I think it's kind of rough chasing it up here. That's like a 21.021, and then this level's 0.16, so quite a bit down here to get back down to like pro buyer levels. And of course you could always just draw your fibs too if you want to get a better idea of location now that we have sort of this range being established. Now, maybe the high comes in higher. I don't know where this is going to top out, but if it is right there, you can kind of see how reload zones are back into this green line here, and 61.8017. So somewhere down there is where I'd be hunting. So that looks pretty decent. Not really viable today though. Uh, Yeah, Paul was mentioning the Capua 2 program, which I'm not going to get into too much today, but that's for people that really want to go on and day trade and scalp. If you don't want to do that, maybe you have a full-time job and you're more just a swing trader, then the Capua 2 isn't necessary. Capua 1 will teach you everything you need to know to start working an investment plan and a swing trading plan. Damn, that VAR is up 100% now. Douche on the day. It's a pretty big move. So Omar's asking, if you had 1 Bitcoin and 10 ETH, would you take risk and trade 38.2 moves up and down into? I'm not sure I fully understand that question. I'm assuming you're saying if you had like a stash that you're hodling, would you trade it? Trying to trade 38.2 moves up and down. I mean, that sounds like I mean, maybe, but do you have a plan for that? I mean, not to sound like a dick, but the only answer to that question would be like, well, if you had 1 Bitcoin that you wanted to trade, can you trade a setup where you're taking 1% risk every trade, and can you bang out 100 trades with the 50% win rate and a 2-to-1 risk reward? Because if you can do that, then yeah, go for it. But if you're just kind of like asking me what I would do, I wouldn't really look at it that way. I would just think about what capital do I have set aside for trading, and can I build a trading plan that allows me to take some trades, 1% risk or so, or whatever it is. Maybe you're swing trading and you're taking 3% risk. Point being, do you have a plan that just outlines an amount of capital that you've outlaid for this trading plan, and can you practice healthy risk management and divide that up and take small bets. We're not trying to, if you had 1 Bitcoin to your name, that was your whole thing, and you're like, well, I'm gonna just fucking sell it at 38.2 and then I'm gonna buy it back at the other 38.2. That's a very, very dangerous way to trade, because you're basically taking 100% risk, right, or whatever on each trade. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't. Those kind of questions are hard. My answer can only ever really be like, I don't know. Do you have a setup and a trading plan that supports that idea? It just pretty much comes down to that. That's at least my opinion. You don't have to listen to me. Oh, I guess I don't know if that's Dalmoody or whoever that was saying, or not Raven, but there's no RWN in TradingView. I was looking at that RWN though. I don't know. Maybe you wanted to look at Raven. We could look at that really quick too. Ooh, Raven looks actually pretty good. Kind of similar actually, but what can I say about Raven really quick? Because man, I do want to speed these up. I need to break it down. Like really, this should be so simple. I should just like every time I pull up a chart, I do the same thing, and it really never changes. I mean, and to me, I can already see it. Like one, I can see we already came down against. So I'll usually look at the previous cycle bottom. That's like the first thing I do, and I see a W right there, so I could draw a line right there and say, oh, that's probably a good place to be a buyer. And you can see like that was a pretty good place to be a buyer so far. And just judging by this, I'm not even going to draw my fibs, because I could see if I drew fibs now, we're way down at the bottom of the range. I don't know if we actually took the lows out. No, we didn't, of course, because we have this low all the way back here. So the first thing I'm doing is just looking at the last cycle and see what happened. And in this case, we're still range bound because we didn't take out these lows. So next thing is, can I, is there anywhere to draw fibs off of the current range? Like in a lot of altcoins, a lot of them bottomed. Really, they all kind of bottomed over here and then produced a move, and we could draw fibs off that. But this has already taken that out, so I'm not doing that. So I don't really have that kind of location to draw here. But that's okay, because I'm down, like I said, down against the previous structure, so I don't really care about that. The next thing I'm going to do is just look for OBV divergence, and I can see that there is OBV divergence, which I like. And in fact, I see it right here and then all the way to here. So we were making new lows all through this period. and OBV was making higher lows all through that period. I mean, it was, right there for one. We confirmed a divergence there, but then also now we've got this bigger one, which looks like it's confirmed last week. Did it actually take out the, yeah, so last week we took out that high and confirmed the divergence. And if you don't know what I mean by confirmed divergence, then that's another reason to take Capital One, or just like hang out with us more and you'll learn quickly. But of course, we use indicator divergence as a way to time, or to a way to spot reversals in a range. So we're usually looking for a divergence down at the bottom of a range, and I specifically look at OBV mostly. I just have RSI on here because it's fun to talk about. I don't actually even look at it for my setups per se, or for this setup. But for doing these shows, it's always nice to just have another indicator to kind of look at. And of course, RSI is like probably the most popular indicator around anyway, so it's very well used. But the point being, I see the divergence there. Third thing I'm going to do is look for a market structure W here, and I don't see that. So I think that, anybody that was willing to just step in and buy that level, I wouldn't fault them for that. And I don't know. I don't like chasing right here, but hell, if you love this name and you just want to hold it into the next bull run, then you're probably going to do okay, even buying it right there, as long as you're not going to panic sell if we go lower. Because if this thing eventually will turn around, even if it has to come a lot lower here, it'll probably eventually turn around, and you can kind of see how the upside is quite substantial. So probably do all right. Buying, if you're buying that 017 level, for example, your doubles aren't too far away here. And there's a lot more upside. So I like this one. Actually, I'm going to keep that one in mind too. I haven't thought about old Raven lately, although I don't think, yeah, I might not have an option for though so easily for that one. But I'm still going to add it to my list. Thank you. But like I said, I'd wait for a W, and I don't see that yet. If anything, I see whatever this move does, that's going to be sort of where I start drawing fibs, because then I will have a range. Wherever this thing tops out will give me a nice range established, and I'll start hunting W's in reload zones. But otherwise, the trade's just sort of, the first two reasons are good. It's just I need a better structure to work off of. It's a true shitcoin. I don't know which one you guys are talking about, but and Radiant, I think, is our RDNT is the next one. So can't remember why that line's on there particularly, but probably a pretty decent level to be hunting. This is a newer issue here. I don't know if there's somewhere else to look at it with. Nah, not really. So something like this. Now, to be fair, this is kind of like a punt. When you see something now, and maybe we could look at it on CoinGecko or something. I have it up. Might as well really quick because I can't remember the story with this one. It's never a bad idea to go to one of these sites and just see. Actually, in this case, it's a really good idea in my opinion, because see the whole max history. I just changed it to max here, and you can see this thing's quite a bit up towards the top. So it's not exactly at the bottom of the range here. It could easily come all the way back down here in the future, but for whatever reason, it didn't also suffer as badly through this period as well. I guess actually it's not that old though, really, because that's July 2022. So it basically got to enjoy the first of the first rally of the year. This was like the kind of altcoin season from the first quarter, and then it never quite made it back down to like mountain mans and stuff. This looks more like 38.2 to 50% pump chaser zone, and you could see the W's coming in. So lots of W's in there actually. So this is like a trend continuation trade more than an investment trade, in my opinion. Or like a by the bottom of the range investment trade. Sell half on double type thing. Any trades on this thing, you probably got to at least consider the possibility of having to walk away if you lose these lows. Like that 20-cent low. I don't know. That's just me. This isn't exactly the kind of thing I would I'm like hunting stuff like this down here, W's at the bottom, bottoms of ranges. This is sort of up higher and trend continuation. So I'm not saying you can't do something with it, and it probably will double. I would just say it's probably more like a punt. It's like, can can you buy this W? Because clearly those are the W's I was showing you there on CoinGecko. You can see them on a daily chart more. There's a W, there's a wider W, there's another W, just making a nice base breakout level at this 25 cents. So, and sure, like a double would be up against the high. So it's totally reasonable. It's just not that sort of banging down at the bottom kind of trade I like. Where if we were to draw fibs off that CoinGecko chart, you'd see that this, it would look something like this. I don't know, just guessing. We're kind of up here in that kind of area, not down in the green box. So just keep that in mind. But certainly could see trades on this thing because like that W, you can see how they broke the W out and then checked it here yesterday again, and now they're pushing it higher. It's red on the day, but there still looks like they still want to push it higher. OBV is W'd out and kind of running out of steam at the moment, but still pushing higher. RSI put in a W and broke the 50 line, still pushing higher. So you could probably just start drilling down, depending on your trading plan, and probably find longs in there. Looks like, maybe even a THG kind of thing. If you zoomed in and saw that it was actually making lower time frame uptrends signals, then that's the kind of thing that maybe you could sneak in with that. And then any kind of moves up against, even the high right here could be enough on a really low time frames, but maybe they take that high out. It looks like ABCD's kind of here. So I think you have a legitimate target somewhere like up in this kind of area here, like that. So like 32 cents against that high. Looks like a trade could be there if you zoom in. It's just not really the investment kind of trade I'm looking for. That's cool. Well, it looks like I got through everybody's requests, and it's actually an hour right now. So this is the turning point. It's like I could either stop or I could start talking again, and next thing you know, it'll be 2 hours. But I do have a few things I wanted to mention that I had just to some coins. I'll go really quick. Just because I can't get through all of them because there's like 15 on this list, but just highlight some that might still be able to sneak in on. That FIS I already showed, which I do really like. But then also somebody in the group told me about this one earlier. It's this one actually. Well, first of all, it's a daily chart kind of thing. I don't have like a lot of weekly data, and it's a little bit chasey here, but it's kind of like that last one. I just wanted to point it out because it looks uppy as hell. This is HNT, and nice OBV turn to the upside and breaking out hard, and RSI is getting closer to overbought, but it just kind of looks like it could really move higher. So this is one that maybe zooming in on for that same kind of idea, like THGs and stuff, swing trades. You might be able to find some longs that just trend continuation, take advantage of that. It's basically just kind of Wing out and breaking out. So pointing that one out, but that's actually not one of the like weekly bottom ones that I want to talk about here. Which I'll jump into here really quick. Like IDEX is, well, fuck. This one's actually not super Bible just right here either yet, unfortunately. Maybe I'll look on Binance here. Well, I'll just stay on Coinbase. This is where I bought the breakout here. Had this on my list just because it does look like it's getting going, but hopefully, there's 4 weeks here to buy that breakout, and we've been talking about this the whole time. So, in fact, I bought it on the breakout. I didn't even buy the retest. So this was in our premium stream New York session. Somebody, I don't remember who, maybe it was Paul. But anyway, maybe you get a chance to buy this thing again. So it still falls into the category of pretty close. I could see them checking that level again, but you could see the W's in. And this one also had a, nice OBV divs through there, and that moved to the lows. And OBV's just ripping higher here, and just has plenty of upside and whatever. Nice W here. And actually, just to point it out again, you can see where 78.6 is at 0575, and then the W breakout levels at 0567. So again, 78.6 often becomes the W breakout level. It just happens all the time, over and over and over and over again. So if you can be patient to ignore this first rally, like, this is like, I guess like I called it the trader's trade earlier for a short, but like you could say the same thing about the long. This is like the trader's trade here. Like the trader's trade is not necessarily buying this V bottom. Sure, if you would have bought that V bottom, great. But like if you're trying to work a consistent plan that like sort of allows you to sort of use technical analysis to define your setup, ignoring this first pump isn't the worst idea. And you're looking for a range to be established. So like some sort of lows made, they pump it and they make a range. you draw your fibs and you start hunting the next W down against the bottom of the range, and you start looking for indicator confirmation and all that stuff. Anyway, this one's, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm banging out a double somewhere up here in the near future. So, or somewhere down the road next year. So that's a pretty nice looking one that's very viable. On the flip side, like comp is one that's also viable and doesn't look quite as set up. Well, you know, it's a little uglier, but you can see how it's just sitting right at this W level I've got drawn. A little bit above the reload zone for sure. So you're chasing it a little bit there. But I could see it actually dipping back into the reload zone here too. And OBV doesn't look as good as that last one, but it is pointing higher and it looks pretty reasonable. What's one that I really liked here? I like this fourth. I don't know what it is, and I don't know. I mean, it hasn't really fulfilled my setup yet here. But man, this thing looks I mean, you know, as far as W's go, it's like debatable. I mean, there's W's in there, but they're not really confirmed in the way that I like to see them confirmed. But you know, OBV is very, you know, OBV just has taken off here, has been pointing upwards, not really in divergence, because I don't know if we actually took this low out here, so I don't think we actually have divergences from there, but we do have divergences from these lows to that low. So that's all I need to see here. That's confirmed now on this candle. So really what we need is a real W. And I would ask, like, well, that depends on what you think a real W is, because, you know, these wicks are kind of throwing it off here. Like, I see W's in there, but the wicks are kind of making them not look confirmed. But if you put a line chart on here, you could see how the W's in, and even another W. So I think this is worthy of taking a shot. And even right where it sits here isn't that bad. I mean, that's pretty good. If you want to be like a sniper here, then I think you probably could just draw some fibs, you know, even off that low here to that high, and start thinking, well, 296 and below is probably the smart guy's way of doing it, but I'm not smart. And actually, you're talking about, like, kind of in the Cappy One today, it's like, do you want to be smart or do you want to make money? Because they have nothing to do with each other in trading. You don't have to be that smart to be a trader. You have to be consistent. You have to be able to follow a plan. And you have to actually be just dumb enough to not talk yourself out of these trades, which, because I'm hyper intelligent, some say a genius even, it's hard for me to do that. So yeah, I set myself up. But I am making a real point here. It's like, you don't want to outsmart the market. You don't need to be smarter than the market. You just need to be able to implement some of these ideas and stay consistent. So the smarter guy might wait for Bitcoin to go to $5,000, right, and never get filled. Just like the smarter guy here might not know, you know, and by no means am I trying to talk people into aping in here. Actually, that probably sounds like I am. I'm not really. I think you need to have your own plan, but I'm just saying, if you got to pull the trigger somewhere, and if you're willing to pull the trigger even right here and can respect the fact that there's legitimate upside here and it is putting in a base, then seems okay. Now, in the current moment, it looks like it could easily dip down against the bottom of the range. So, you know, plan accordingly. I don't know. I'm already long this thing, actually, which I don't know if I have it drawn somewhere. Yeah, you can see how I was just, you know, buying against this. You know, I actually remember talking about this ages ago. It's funny because I remember talking about these sort of V-bottomy looking W's. I mean, they are W's, but this was July 23rd. Wow, I remember specifically this moment. And I did buy some stuff back then, and some of those things are banging out doubles now. But you could see the W came in, and I just bought the pullback against it. You could see OBV was in my favor. Well, I already talked about all that. So you can see where I'm long. I'm actually long from the smart guys. I knew it. I'm a fucking genius. I knew it. I just needed somebody to tell me, even if that person was me. Anyway, like fourth. Let me see if I can pick a couple more here. SNX booming. Yeah, I think I saw that. I saw this guy. You can see, yeah, S and X has now got nice W's here. So this one looks like it's now bottomed and moving higher. You could see how I basically, this kind of same, was that the same time? Yeah, this was another one that was the exact same. That July, yeah, this kind of, that W, remember? Like, well, maybe you guys don't, I remember. Kind of steep W, and I did go in and buy some of those and had to go immediately underwater here. You can see how that didn't work, although it is working now. That's pretty typical. So that's almost the same as well, it is the exact same as fourth, but that's kind of that idea of like when do you pull the trigger. I'm okay with that. I was all right with just being a buyer there. But now look at the, now I see this SNX is actually taking out this high and making these big double W's. And let's see, I'm long from 267-ish, and so my double is going to be where, like 520. So I'm actually nearing in on, I got to make sure my order's working here. Should be. I went through most of my Coinbase and redid all my orders after they forced me to move from, they consolidated Coinbase Pro and Coinbase.com, and so in the process my orders got fucked. So anyway, hopefully I got to double check that, but yeah, so this one's fully broken out now though, so can't really chase it here. Although ironically, you're probably still in reload zones off the old levels, but you're getting pretty chasey here at that point. And I just point out this old breakout level. Look how they bottomed it right against the old W's. So like maybe next time around, let's see what happens this bull and then the next bull. I don't have a problem with people that just want to go start nibbling against that level, And actually, you probably still see it in this cycle. Shouldn't get too far ahead of myself. But anytime you see prices coming all the way back down against structural bottoms like that, it's never a bad idea to at least consider that's a nice place to just have a stinky bid working, and you're going to just try to take a nibble down there and maybe catch the bottom, down the road. That might have been the trade of a lifetime for somebody. So that's a nice looking chart. Man, I mean, it's hard to be bearish when you see a chart like that. It's pretty hard to, this is everything that you want to see in a bottom. Nice saucer rounded out bottom, came against old structure, has W's working now, has established a range, has taken that range out right now. You could probably draw trend lines if you wanted to do some sort of trend line strategy where you're waiting for a W on the other side of the trend line. It's there, it's not fully. We barely got on the other side, but I think you could argue it's there. Off that trend line. Of course, you could even draw steeper ones, but or maybe even one off somewhere else. I'm not going to go that far into it, but lots of reasons to think it was worth taking a shot down in here. Really, the W in hindsight looks kind of crappy, but that was my that little cheeky ass W right there, which I do remember specifically saying how weird they looked. And being just kind of like, well, this is accumulation. You got to pull the trigger. That's the W. It looks kind of weird, but I much prefer a wider, like now that this wider one's in, I think a safer trade is to start drawing your fibs wherever this top comes in. And then you could probably get another chance at buying reload zones. Maybe not, but probably. I think there will be another buy opportunity here in this bottoming phase. And so that's where it's going to be. Just the next chance to hunt that kind of location and have to have your bids working kind of thing and hope for the best. So anyway, there's somebody mentioned SNX in there. So let me see if I can end on one that's more buyable. I mean, the problem is we're getting kind of to the place where there's not that many. Like I've been kind of like hunting this, well, not hunting because I'm already long, but I've been watching this and thinking that this thing's ready to go. But that's more just my feelings because I don't really have a solid bottom here yet. But this NCT just has really great OBV and it's just bumping on the bottom here. And I'm already on a second car. I got a double and then bought it back. and now my second card doubles up here like around 90193. So I was buying this at the bottom of the range. I can't say that my setup isn't, I'm not trading this OBV strategy that I've been talking to you guys about here with this. It was more just I actually jokingly told the group yesterday, I just bought this because I have a friend that when he says buy, I buy. That's a different setup that I don't talk about here on YouTube. But it is a setup. I have one reason to take the trade, and it's just him telling me. But I also am not going to chase the market. So you can see how I was buying, around 78.6 now recently when I bought it back. And then when I first bought it back, I just kind of aped in there. But I mean, is that really an ape though? I mean, I'm not, the W was trying to come in here and I just front ran the W a bit. I had my OBV confirmation. So as much as I'm saying ape, I don't think I was really chasing right there so much. Anyway, anyway, I got off track a little bit. I just like this down here at the bottom of the range. Now, this week it looks a little weak and it's not enjoying the rally that most of crypto is, or a lot of crypto is enjoying right now, but it's just one that looks cheap to me and there's plenty of room for it to move higher if you zoom out a little. I mean, you can see here I'm banging out doubles just inside of this wick here. And if it can break that range, the 20.0228 down the road, if you can get long off the bottom here and it can take out those highs, then I don't see why it can't get quite a bit higher. Looks like it could go. I mean, I don't know. It's at 0.089-ish right now. And 10Xs seem pretty reasonable up here. I guess 10X would be, yeah, somewhere up in that area. So I don't know if you want to bang a 10X out. This seems like it could be one. To be fair, if you want to be more conservative, you can always wait for a weekly W. That's the only part of the puzzle that's truly missing. And I just don't see that yet here. I mean, I do see like W action kind of, but it's just because of this kind of more illiquid kind of pumps here. There's, maybe we take that high out and that's the W, and then you can buy a pullback against that W. Or maybe we just get a tighter W somewhere in here that you can buy. That's what that'd be like the more conservative, my actual setup trade. But it is what it is. So anyway, I think I'll call it there because I'm at an hour and 20 minutes. And otherwise, I'll just keep going. Went through a ton of names, I think. Hopefully it was valuable. I got a bunch of doubles on deck here. I got like near and HNT, AVAX, Aleph, however you say that, FXS, Rose, and RBN. Those are all like near my double levels that hopefully I'll be banging doubles out on those in the next few days. And I think I've got like 4 or so doubles this week already. So definitely can't say that there's not doubles being had. And just go happy hunting. If you find anything interesting that kind of fits those sort of charts that I've been talking about a lot, feel free to let me know. And I would love to take a look at them and possibly buy myself. So I just had to look at Gala really quick because I couldn't remember if that was a good one or not, but I don't really love it that much. And yeah, I mentioned our school. I not the best shill, but I do have some decent experience teaching people how to trade, and I think I can explain things pretty well. And I know that Paul did an awesome job today reviewing everybody's trades. In fact, I was just watching him going like, damn, this is helpful. Just listening to him talk about like THG and stuff. I'm like, I was even learning something. So that was cool to hear him just kind of explain to the group why he does what he does. And I think I did a pretty good job more on the front end of the course, just kind of explaining all our coursework, teach people technical analysis, explaining how we write plans, just trying to convey the idea of the process of trading here. We're just trying to learn the process, not make money right now as the students, that is. And I think really, unfortunately, that's just how it needs to be. And people don't like to do that. Everybody wants to just jump in and make money. And unfortunately, they also get extra FOMO once these uppy markets happen. And so then they end up just like FOMOing into an uppy market without a plan. And that's just the wrong way to go about it. I can't, I can't say that any other way. It's just that's the dangerous way to go about it. So it's hard to do that. And really, the more the bull market comes, the harder it is to learn. So kind of bear markets are for learning, and bottoms are for learning, so you can be prepared for bulls later. But it's hard to jump into the middle of a bull not knowing what you're doing and expect to come out okay. Now, of course, some people get lucky, but we're not trying to trade with luck here. We're trying to trade with consistency and define setups that we can execute an edge over a series of trades. We're not just trying to luck out on one trade here. So I don't know. Not the best shill, but I would like people to consider us if they want to learn how to trade, and just know that we'll do our best to get you on point in the right direction and take all the time necessary to make sure you at least get the skills down so that you can go out on your own and do it for yourself. Because at the end of the day, nobody can do it but you. And I don't know, I'd love to help you. So feel free to reach out to me. And other than that, I guess we'll be back as always on Sunday for the crypto weekly reviews that Paul and I do, where we just kind of go over the altcoin top higher market cap altcoins and that plan. We have a whole trading plan associated with that. We're basically just doing the same thing I'm doing. It's just the names I'm talking about here don't make it. Well, some of them do, but we're sticking to sort of the bigger coins on that plan. So I try to find some of the smaller ones for this show. But him and I will be there on Sunday, and I guess that's it for the public shows. Well, I mean, I can mention Paul's daily plan video, which is every day during the London session. If you are a trader and you want to just get some good levels and ideas, then he does that video. And Stefan's also live trading on Tuesdays during the London session, which is today as well. And also our New York session is open to the public on Tuesdays too. We live trade every Tuesday, well, every New York session, Monday through Friday, but Tuesdays, anybody in our Discord community can pop into that meeting. We had a pretty good time today with a bunch of people in there. And if you're not a member of our Discord community, you can just go to cryptotradersarena.com and everything's, well, at least this website, we don't do a lot from our website. It's not, everything's done through Discord, but you can always just join our Discord right here. And then Paul will get you verified and that you're not a scammer. And you can join the free side of our Discord where we're just in there chatting away, and you can ask us any questions you like there. So consider us for that. And I also do update the weekly show here, and then this you can always find Paul's daily plans here too. I'll leave it at that. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys next Tuesday for this show, and probably sooner if you're around the site. So I will talk to you all soon, and I'm gonna hit my little disclaimer since I never really do fucking disclaimers, but of course I'm just telling you guys my viewpoint. I certainly don't think you should just copy me blindly or do anything I say. I'm not giving you guys direct advice. I'm just trying to show my process and how I think it could actually, how I know other people can do similar things and probably even do way better than me. Fuck it. So, and I hope that happens. So anyway, I'll see you guys later and talk to y'all soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.